Don't forget to click on the link in the description for prepping or masking and taking off masking, for paint mixing and painting other variant colors. Don't forget to subscribe and share as we move on to the next stage of painting the room in Hicks blue and white Eggshell. Here you can see that prior to painting the room in Hicks blue and white, I haven't thrown away the painting materials. I've just covered them up in bin bags. That, keeps your paint roller pads fresh and, not dried up. It makes it easier to reuse your tools or to insert new accessories onto your, say for example, your cage frame roller or your scuttle. It makes it easier to clean out your painting brush, as you do not want to be cleaning dry painting brushes or scuttles or kettles. If your roller pads or brushes are completely dried out, because you haven't covered them, you might as well just discard them, because 9 out of 10 times they're non-reusable. So here we've got a focal, an accent or a feature wall on the far left that we will be painting in Hicks blue, and the opposite end too as well will be painted in Hicks blue, in conjunction with a wall that runs onto the right of the door. Your local decorating centre have got their own Eggshell branded paints. But today I will be using, paints with improved quality, and the paint in question here is your intelligent green, okay? Doesn't matter if you use your local paint from your decorating centre, or the intelligent green, they will both come out brilliantly. But I just kind of think the intelligent green has got a more improved professional touch to it. So here we will be repeating and reproducing the process, but we'll be skipping or skimming through a lot of the process that was already covered in the first quadrant of the video. So if you want to see that, click on the link in the description. It should take you to them videos where we covered how to prep and how to paint extensively. So we're just going to be showing you, the different stages in this video and what, the outcome was, okay, and if the process is reproducible. So here you can see that all the masking's been done, the door's been covered, the window's been covered, the doors and the floor have been covered. We have also used masking of the painter's tape to protect areas where we don't want any paint spill or brush stroke over, whilst also ensuring straight lines. If you've run your frock tape, say for example in this instance where there is a gap between the ceiling and the wall, rerun your frock tape so that there isn't any gap between the ceiling and the wall. Or instead of taking off the entire tape, you could just cut a tiny piece or segment of tape and latch it onto the defective parts where you've got gaps between the ceiling and the wall, okay, as this will save you a lot of time. I'll show you what I mean in a minute, okay. So I've cut a segment of tape and latched it onto a part where I felt that there was a gap. So you can see that I've doubled up on the tape there, but that's just to cover up the gaps that that's defective on the straight line. And that's because it's absolutely important that when you're painting contrasting lines, that you've got straight cuts and that your lines appear pristine. You can always correct them after you've taken off the tape, but correct as much as you can prior to painting so that you have less work to do when you're done painting, okay? Especially if you want that professional touch or feel to it. And as you can see, I'm visually inspecting the carpet covering to make sure that we do not have any openings between the skirting and the carpet protector or the dust cloth sheet. If you do find any openings, make sure that you tape over them or you cover up with your dust cloth sheet, okay? And once I'm satisfied that the skirting and the carpet have been adequately covered, and as well as the roofing or the ceiling has been covered with frock tape, because I want to keep the paint on the ceiling. Once I'm satisfied that the frock tape is pristine and straight lined, and I'll be getting at least to a decent degree a straight cut, I can proceed to paint over. So one part of the wall where we've got the window would be in little green eggshell white, and the rest of the wall, which encompasses our focal wall and our back wall, will be in little green eggshell Hicks blue. Okay, so pretty much we're painting in Hicks blue eggshell and in white eggshell. Okay, the brand pretty much is Intelligent Green. Do not confuse Intelligent Green with the color, it's just the brand. Okay. And you can see for this 2.5 litre, the typical coverage is 14 square meter per litre. And in the caveat, it recommends that we coat after every 4 hours. And so the next step of the process would be to open up the paint cans or tins, get some paint into the scuttle, and then subsequently begin to paint the walls. Okay. In the first quadrant of the video, we pretty much covered extensively, how to mask or prep or prepare your room, and how to paint your room in diamond yellow eggshell and white eggshell and grey eggshell as well. And so here we're just typically replicating or repeating and reproducing the process, for painting, the awkward angles, which are, your paint corners. And that's because we cannot really easily get the paint roller pad in them corners at right angles. Okay, and that's what we use our paintbrush to stroke through all them right angles. You can see that that I've painted across, all them corners. You can decide to paint your wall first before doing them corners, or vice versa, by painting them corners then afterwards painting your wall is pretty much up to you. But I find that doing it this way is a lot more efficient. Okay. So, after painting them corners and painting the outer areas external to the angles, we coat it over about 3 times every 4 to 6 hours, and then subsequently leave it to air dry. Do not let the paint overly dry, and that's because when you come to take off your masking, you might have paint peeling off the wall. So ensure that it's not overly dried, ensure that it's still somewhat wet. Remove the masking tape at a 45-degree angle, and then subsequently redress imperfections in the straight line of the masking like I've done here. You can see that I've got, segments of tapes, on the ceiling, around the doors, in them corners, and this is what I mean here. You can see that there is a gap there, so I've run tape over, the straight line again, and I'll be painting over, the gaps. So with contrasting wall paints, you always need to check out for pristine lines, and where you've got gaps, place your frog tape over there. Okay, again, redress and paint, the gaps, okay, as you want a straight line. Okay, so you always have to visually inspect. This paramount, is utmost important that you inspect your lines, make sure they're pristine and aesthetically pleasing. It is always worth it in the end, when they come out beautifully. And now that you get the hang of it, keep checking, keep redressing, keep remasking, and keep painting over till your lines are perfect. Okay. This is not the calm before the storm. It's just behind the scenes, what's been done to ensure that your lines are perfect. And so once you've sorted your straight lines, you can take off the tape. Click on the link in the description for how to prep, mask, paint, and take off your painter's tape. And once you're done with the redressing and the straight line perfection, that's your painting job done. Okay, just take off the frog tape once you're done, and that's your your painting done. In the next video quadrant, we will be painting a living room and making the focal wall yellow or matte yellow. You can click on the link in the description to see this, or scroll to the next subsequent video. And with regards to removing the prep work, anywhere you've got masking, always take off the tape. It could be your general masking tape or your frog tape. Make sure it's taken off at a 45-degree angle and not erratically. Take it off gently, and where you've got peeling, redress and paint over. Don't be dismayed. Repeat and reproduce the process, and in time you should have a perfect straight line. Doesn't matter if you've got, masking over the door frame, over your skirting. Just take off the tape in the same orientation or apply the same principle at 45 degrees. And you could take off the prep work relatively easily. And the next thing would be to show you different shots, of the painting, and you can see how aesthetically pleasing, it looks. All of that hard work has culminated into this masterpiece. So it is painstaking, but in the end, it is always worth it, okay? And you can see the painting with the lights on, okay, and with the lights off. So it is beautiful. I'm happy with it. I haven't got, crooked lines, and so that's fine with me, okay? And that's about it really. If you found the information useful, don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Helps the channel grow.